We always record these, so I am going to go ahead and start that. We are here today for the RSA Independent Futures that Work Regional Advisory Committee for Oklahoma. Obviously, we all know today's date and that we are on Zoom. Again, the RSA PTI Independent Futures at Work project is funded through a grant from the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitation Services, Rehabilitation Services Administration. And it is a project of the Alabama Parent Education Center. And obviously, as most of you have already figured out, this Zoom is being recorded. All of our meetings are recorded and they are posted on the Oklahoma Parent Center website. So if anyone ever misses one, or if they want to know kind of what we might have done, then they can always go back and look at those. We are one of the 6 states. Oklahoma is one of the 6 states, and I am the lead for Oklahoma, and I work here at the Oklahoma Parent Center. This is my contact information. I'm assuming that most all of you probably already have that already, but I will be sending out this PowerPoint as well to everyone, so you will have it again. Okay, guys, we don't have a whole lot on the agenda today, but I do have a document that I would like to show you. So we are going to, it's not necessarily listed on this. So we've already welcomed everyone. Well, I have not welcomed everyone. This is my prompt to say thank you for getting on today. It is early morning here. I don't know about what all of Oklahoma could possibly look different, but we're kind of dreary this morning, and it was one of those, if I could sleep in, it would be a sleep in day around here. So thank you guys for getting on today, and I really do appreciate you. We've had this conversation before, and I will brag on you every chance that I get that we do actually have one of the biggest, most active councils, committees, because we do, we all actually in Oklahoma, we get along really well, to the point that we just had a call about how Oklahoma gets along well and how other states could possibly be able to learn from us a little bit. So, but again, we want to welcome you today. Thank you so much for taking your time. I will be very, very respectful of your time, and I will, when we're done, we're done. If you have any questions, always you can, if we're on this call, feel free to unmute yourself and ask anything that you would like. If you can always give me a call, you can always email me. I am 100% available if you need me for any reason. We will go over some project updates, some upcoming activities, and then the hot topics that we talked about. And then we are going to, I'm going to show you a document, and then we're going to adjourn today. So, and I will email the document to you as well. So I'm not reading it to you. So project updates as a whole, from the Independent Futures that Work website. New resources are on there, on their website since the last time that we met. Again, that is Independent Futures that Work. I will, I did not add their website just right here, but I believe that's all it is, independentfuturesthatwork.com. Myself and Sharon, our executive director here, as well as all the other leads and executive directors of the 6 states, met over the summer, and we kind of talked about what we could focus on. Surprisingly, we're in year 3. It does not feel like we've been doing this that long, but it definitely feels like we're still moving along, but maybe not quite at the pace that we thought that we would as all of the states together, when we were talking about what really makes a difference and how things could, we don't want to have a meeting to have a meeting. We want to really have some good work come out of this. That was always the intention, that we talked with you guys about from the beginning. We want change. We want those children with disabilities that are at transition age or even earlier to have a good understanding of what's available in Oklahoma and how it can really make a difference. And then, fill any gaps that may be there. So there is a new learning management system that is coming really soon. That is an independent Futures That Work project that is for all of the 6 states. That is not an Oklahoma specific project. So I do not know exactly how that looks yet, but I am excited to see that coming out and how that will further along this project. In year 3, again, we are 3 months into year 3 of this project. This is our first quarter meeting. There will be a new training that comes out from the Alabama Parent Center, and that will be working independently. Here we come. And it is essentially using the checklist that was provided to teach people how to use that and how to make the most sense for your child, for your student, or for yourself if you are a person with disabilities. And then again, the LMS course, Introduction to Transition Planning for an Independent Life After High School. So that will be the first course that's available for people to be able to take. And then again, it says animated videos aligned to some of the already developed tip sheets. So there's a lot coming out in year 3. Most of you already have probably worked on a brand new project before. I mean, I think I know most of you pretty well at this point. And year 1 is a lot of planning. Year 2 is revising your plan because as you start trying to do it, it may not have been the plan, might not have worked perfectly. So usually there's a whole lot of work that comes out in year 3. And that is really what we're expecting, is that there are going to be some actual real life things that are usable and that can make some changes, make some differences. When we met in September, one of the activities that we did was everyone got this big piece of paper, and essentially was, what are your questions if you're a parent of a child that's within that age range, but what are the most questions that you may get from parents around for their kids that are around that age group. And these are some of those questions. And then from that, we condensed those because there were about 20 of us. We condensed all of the questions and kind of voted between, oh, that's pretty much what my question was. You may have just worded a little differently. And these are kind of how that, again, it was over all of the 6 states. So, but how do I teach my child self-advocacy skills? That was one of the ones. It was, we tell parents, well, your child needs self-advocacy skills. We each and all of us need self-advocacy skills, but no one really talks about how exactly do you teach that as a parent or as a school. If you're expecting the school to do it, who is going to do it? When are they going to do it? And who's going to teach them how to teach anyone else how to do it? Again, some of these things we expect that people know, but as a parent, I have children that are within this age range, and I would not begin to know how to teach them self-advocacy skills. It's probably some of the things that I'm already doing, but if someone said, have you taught your child self-advocacy skills? I would say no. Again, some of it is going to just come, but ultimately those are the things that parents, they want to help, they want to know, they want to be more educated, but again, it's just some of that, little things. What agencies can help with My Youth After High School? In Oklahoma, I feel like we have a better understanding of that than some of the other states. So again, some of these are just, I'm going to switch to the next one because we had a couple of slides of those. The next biggest thing was, how do I keep my young adults safe? That was one of the big things that we talked about a lot. And some of that was safety looks different in different places. So again, when we're teaching those young adults with disabilities, safety, this is hard to describe. Safety in a hotel versus safety in your home. You still have to keep your young adult safe in all of those situations. And how do we teach those that in different situations there are different safety rules. So again, some of these, it feels like it makes sense to us, but when we have a parent say, well, how can I teach my child that? How can I send my child out into the world and keep my young adults safe? Again, I brought up more than once in this meeting, as a parent of both children, a child that has had an IEP and child that does not have an IEP, is that these are the same questions as a parent of a child that is not currently on an IEP that I have as well. These are universal questions. These are not necessarily only specific to people with disabilities. I have a 17-year-old who's going to college next year. I have the exact same questions that everyone else. Those questions just look or those answers may just look a little bit different. So when we are developing these things, we say this a lot, that we don't want to take away from children with disabilities their failures. We all learn from our failures. We all learn from our mistakes. We don't want to take that away from them as well, but how can we do that in a safe environment? And those are the exact same things that I worry about daily as well. So again, some of that it's hard. And again, with our state and some of the other states, how does my child find a job? What does that look like within, I'm very rural Oklahoma, that versus say Oklahoma City, Tulsa, even the surrounding areas, that's going to look very, very different than it would in my area. Again, some of these are just some of those things that we really tried to talk about and tried to get some ideas. And then we went into, essentially, and this is where I'm going to need some feedback from you guys, is what are the topics that you would like to see covered? We again, in Oklahoma, we are very unique because we probably have something somewhere that may cover some of these topics already. I would ever call myself an expert. So you all are the experts in this field. I am just the lead to try to get all the experts to tell me where the material is. How do we all access it? And if there's not something, what would you like for me to send on as a topic that we would like to see covered? Would we want a handout? Do we want something that's a training? Again, is it going to be on the learning management system? So all of those things are, this is how as a committee that we can bring Oklahoma feedback, and kind of where we at, what topics would we like to see of any of the, are the hot topics, I'm going to go back one slide. Are any of these hot topics the same hot topics that you guys are hearing? As organizations, are you worried about these things? And if you don't want to speak right now because we are being recorded, I'm okay with that too. I am going to send this out as an email as well that just says, these are some hot topics and how do you feel we can address any of these in Oklahoma, and how, or do you see any that you feel are more important than what was listed? Again, I know it's a lot all in one setting. So one of the other things, I am going to end the slideshow and transition for a second. So if anyone would like to unmute and speak during that time, feel free. I am not a dead space person. So I will literally fill up every second of every minute with words. So
I want to say that I think this is so wonderful and so needed, has been needed for a long time. I think it complements what Oklahoma is already doing with the Oklahoma Transition Council Institute that they do every year, that we know in some pockets of our state have really improved transition skills and transition opportunities even for students of that age group. But I still see so many areas in this state that their transitions are just almost non-existent on their IEPs. So I don't know. I think as a group, I would like to see us just really try to come up with some strategies, ideas, I don't know, that would help families and schools be able to work together using all of that skill set knowledge that we have and the pre-ads and all the other resources that are available to really assist families and students moving forward when they exit. So we don't continue to have these kids just come home and sit in their black hole. I mean, I have one. He's 36, you know, and we've waited 10 years to get services. We're finally going to hopefully get services, you know, but I just, from experience of a parent of a young adult with many challenges, I know we have a long way to go. So this is exciting to see, but it would be wonderful to be able to just cohesively, since we work such a great collaborative spirit, cohesively working together to support the schools that just don't seem to be able to get it. And I'm talking big districts too, not just little bitty rural. Anyway, I'll be quiet. That's kind of
I
what
feel like that's a fantastic segue to what I was going to show you.
Oh, well,
you,
good.
Ellen.
That's
like
what,
I'll send you some
you
money
can pay
later.
me later, Letitia. We didn't even talk about it.
We did. So when we were in Alabama, one of the things that, and I have actually if anyone else has anything, please feel free to still say something. In the chat, it was like, I think all the questions are relevant. I agree, Ellen. Yes, Ellen. So, I mean, I think we all are there. We all know that we, again, the way that we could all do better. There's none of us that are perfect. So as long as we come with that spirit of, we know, I mean, no one is perfect. No one. So that we can figure out what we can do to even make a little bit of a difference in Oklahoma. Again, we can give feedback to the national or to the Alabama project as to what they can do, but we can do more. We can always do more. So one of the things that they have in Alabama, and there were a couple of you that I was like waving it around when I was at OTI. I was like, oh, and I was very excited. So, because that's, again, I was telling someone that, yes, I am a professional person, but I'm also very personal. I'm a very personal person. I know who I am, and I'm okay with that. And I get excited about, I get excited about this kind of stuff. This is silly, but these are the things that I get excited about. So okay, can you see that it says Alabama Transition Engagement Series? Okay, because I have two different things on two different screens at this point. This is, okay, so this is a 3-part document. I have only asked for part 2, however, I can get part 1. I believe their part 1, it is over 100 pages, and it is essentially their State Department transition handbook. That's essentially what it is. It's their State Department transition handbook. So if we have something like this, someone please tell me. Okay, so we're going to go through it a little bit, but this is a handbook by their parent center they worked closely with their State Department and all of the other essentially kind of organizations that would be on this call. to create this helping parents navigate the transition process. And it is a funded project that can be a print also. It is a physical document, a physical booklet, or obviously an online type thing. So again, it answers some of those questions, and I'm going to send this to you guys. If you're like me, you want to see it right now. So let me throw it in the chat really fast, the link to it, if anybody just wants to pull it up right that second, so that if you can't see it well on my screen, you're more than welcome. But it answers some of those questions. Again, it might be a little longer. I think it's all great information, but it might be a little longer than we might want to give to parents, because sometimes it's a lot overwhelming right at first. We might need more than just a threefold kind of brochure, but we might not want to give them a 35-page document to start with. But it had a lot of information, and it's written. I'm going to scroll down faster than most people would like. It starts with just a parent's message of hope that is essentially, here's a story about my kid and what I hoped for her. And again, that kind of thing that I think sometimes we lose. Someone has already been there and done it terribly, and someone has been there and already done it wonderfully. So what can we learn from each other? And we've talked about that before. So, but this is the family aspect of their three part. One of them is essentially guidance for schools, then information for parents, and honestly, I don't know what the third is. I'm assuming I can find it because they've sent me the links to everything. But is this something that we have in Oklahoma? I'm going to go back up to the table of contents essentially, and so
I think I saw that Lori Chestnut was on here, but I remember many years ago, we worked on a transition handbook, and I'm pretty sure it's been updated even since then. I don't know that it covers all of this, but I do know that they have a handbook, because we've given them out before, but we haven't had any in a long time. So I don't know if they're still available or not. I wanted to make two comments. I just didn't want to do it while I was in the car. And I noticed that this handbook actually addresses both of the areas that are always kind of near and dear to my heart. And one of them is, it's actually at the bottom of the page right now, a full life after school, including recreation, friendship, self-advocacy, safety, independent living skills. All of that is really good. But I think using life course tools, if you laid the life course tools on top of this and basically use the life course domains as kind of categories for things to fall under, it might be a really interesting way to do it. And I'm always concerned for health, kind of for the same reasons when you were talking about both of your young adult children, whether they've been on an IEP or a 504 or not, when they leave us and go to camp, go to grandmother's, go to college, go live out on their own, so many of them don't know anything about healthcare. Yeah. And it's been many, many years. Gosh, I think 2014, I think, was the last time the State Department of Education used OSU to do postgraduate surveys. Ellen and probably remembers when they did those. And basically what they did is they had OSU graduate students call students who had graduated and were on an IEP, had a job when they finished, and then they called them a year later and asked them, do you still have your job? Why or why not? And the primary reason the young adults, if they had a job going out of high school that they didn't in a year, was because of their health or their disability. Their job did not align so they had asthma and they were working as a janitor, or, they had a physical disability and they were working on a line, in a warehouse or something, and they couldn't be on their feet that long. So I think health and those kind of making your life better when you graduate, so you're not so isolated, like Ellen was talking about with her son. All of that is so important. And I love the OTI. I didn't get to go this year because I was actually sick, but the one thing I've always felt like we were missing there is this kind of stuff. It's the touchy-feely. How do you make sure that young adults have recreation, friendship, places to go, people to be with after they graduate? Because those are the things in life that bring us joy. Our jobs can too. And oftentimes you find friends and happiness and joy and recreation at work, but trying to help someone see you're going to have to work at that a little bit more once they get out of high school is so important. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we get phone calls. It just breaks my heart. And sometimes the adults are 50 years old and they have no friends. They have no place to go. Their parent is 75 years old and they don't know what's going to happen next because they haven't developed any type of village around them to support them as they move forward. So that's probably way more than you wanted to hear this morning.
No,
But,
it's so imperative, Joni, because we are all getting older, and we have to pass this torch on to somebody.
Right.
It's going to continue this work, because I'm going to just say this and I'm going to be quiet. We went to that DDS meeting, and they provided the interpreters, but let me tell you, I don't think even as an agency that DHS recognizes their audience and who they are providing information to. I was overwhelmed. I can't even imagine what Billy was experiencing 2 hours in of watching somebody sign to him straight topics that he's not ever heard of before. Anyway, so we have work to do. I know we have work to do, but we are smart people, and Joni has a great point about the tools and putting that together. I think that's a great idea to explore. So, but anyway, I'll be quiet.
I'd like to jump in if I could just for a second. And I agree with Joni. I'm Lisa Lauder from the Oklahoma Deafblind Project, and we have done a lot of training on the tools that she's referring to. And the families that have engaged with that are the families with transition plans. And the population that I work with the most are not the kids that are going to get a little training and then have a 40-hour week job. We have to really look at, like, what do we think their life is going to look like? And a lot of it is, not a job. It might be some volunteer work, but it's a lot about recreation and leisure, and how are we going to fill their day, and what's their week going to look like? And the National Center on Deafblindness has some great tools that we've been using. So count me in on helping with this document, or whatever format you're going to use. But especially for those kids with more significant disabilities who require a lot of health. We have a document that we send out about how, and this is from the National Center, about how do you transition from the pediatrician to the big boy doctor. Right. And that's a big deal. It's not easy when your kid takes a lot of medications and uses a lot of equipment to sustain their life. So anyway, we as Ellen said, we have the resources. I think we don't have to create anything, but it might be just getting it in a location and keeping it updated. I know Ellen or Joni talked about the document, and things change. And so I have lots of old documents that I've been trying to update. But I'm a one-man band.
So I was gonna say, that's a full-time job, just keeping everything updated.
It is. So I would love to be a part of this.
Fantastic. Yes.
This is Lori. I just wanted to talk about what Joni said about the secondary transition handbook. So we did update that a couple of years ago. We had several agencies that worked with us to update that. And the last chapter is more on post-secondary opportunities, and Erin Parks helped us with that to have a parent perspective. But that document was written more for, I mean, it's for parents too, but it was written more for, it has the requirements as far as what needs to be in the IEP for secondary transition. It has curriculum on what we were talking about with self-advocacy. So, I mean, I would love to, look at that document and maybe adapt it pull out the pieces that are more relevant for parents. We did try to write it on a level where parents could, it would still be applicable, but I mean, I would love to have more parents review it. We've tried to get the word out about it, but obviously not done that great of a job. If some of you on the call didn't know about it or didn't know, we did not print it because it's 93 pages. And when we do training, I tell them it was not meant to be read from front to back. It's meant as it's meant as a resource. So it's available on our website, and we put it on Facebook. We've sent it out on the listserv. So we handed it out at OTI, like a QR code, like the cover with the QR code and the link. And that seemed to be pretty effective, but I dropped it in the chat if anyone wants to take a look at it, and we welcome input because there's already things that we need to update in it.
Thank you so much. I saw it. Does anyone else have anything that they want to just hop in at? Again, I think that what everyone is saying is exactly what, whenever I saw this, because it was handed out in Alabama, and whenever I saw it, I thought, we probably all have a piece of this already. In Oklahoma, it just may not all be together. We all probably have some. Again, I know I've seen a transition timeline more than once. Again, this is just a sentence about each one. It's not anything major, but I know that we've all seen it. So having Lori Wathen had put that Sooner Success has a healthcare transition project and a committee that meets quarterly. I did not know that. So again, that's part of why I love this committee when we actually have something to talk about, is that is something that, that 100% would make, would fall right within what this is. Again, we don't want it to be something that is a 95-page document, but that we can take some things that they already have and make them fit within this. Like the State Department. I actually did read over that, the other Lori. So I actually did read over that, the secondary, that transition from the State Department's essentially to school districts, that aspect of it. So again, some of that is going to fall within this. It's just going to be written a little bit different. It's going to be again things that I learn here. I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form. So things that I hear from you guys and that I learn from you guys are things that I had never even thought. Sometimes of things that have never even crossed my mind. But that age 14 to 18, start medical transition, never had it crossed my mind that, again, I'm not there. I've not had to do it yet. So as a parent of a child who is 17, we're going to have to transition, and our transition from pediatrician to, big girl doctor, is going to look different than say Ellen's transition and her child's transition and every other person's. But to even say, hey, that's an aspect of transition that you may not have even thought about yet. Even just saying that is like, okay, never thought about it. Again, those types of things are you guys have been there. So it's been something that you've had to help somebody with. Those things, again, are different from me than they are for everybody. That's why I love this kind of group, is because we all do bring that type of thing. Age and majority is one of those things that really, this is for Alabama specifically, but that was one of those things when someone first introduced age of majority to me, it felt like a very foreign concept. Even though I know that when I turned 18, I got to make my own decisions, it was just a foreign concept to me that if a child did not want their parent to come to their IEP meeting, that they did not have, they could say no, you can't be there. So that really was something that I thought, well, what if your kid did that and then they know nothing about their IEP? Because as a parent, you've done that for them for so long. Again, some of those things are just, I'm speaking to the choir here. I've already said that once this week. I'm literally speaking to the choir here. But those are things that, as someone who I tend to see myself in the role of that parent, because I don't know everything. I am never going to say that. I don't know when I pass from this earth that I will ever be able to say I know everything. But those are the kinds of things that I love to hear from you guys, because I learn from you so much. So again, in those skills that don't have anything to do with school and a job, because you're absolutely right. My life is so much more than just where I went to college or didn't go to college at, or where I work or where I don't work. That is such an aspect of life that we do miss. We are so focused on all those other things that, as a parent of all children, we tend to miss those. And so I appreciate you guys saying those things and being honest and letting us know that, you know, you may be focused and you may be doing what was best at that moment, but don't lose focus of the big picture. There is a whole lot of life out there that does not revolve around those two things. So, and I'm seeing a lot of great stuff in the chat. So I'm also going to try to save the chat and send that out with everybody as well. Essentially I'm going to stop sharing. Essentially the only thing that I had left to share with you guys was just the thank you slide. Thank you for coming today slide, and to tell you when the next meeting was. Does anyone else have anything to add before I move forward? Yes, Chris.
So I wanted to, this is a question that came up as you were describing that document and getting it from Alabama, that they had a similar document for schools as a resource, and then this one for parents as a resource, and then there was a third one. Well, so in my mind, this is, and I'm sure there's an answer to it, and it also sort of touches on what Lori shared in the chat as far as what Oklahoma has as a handbook. Has it ever been considered for maybe for the parent side, if for nothing else, to maybe, could there be like a series of short videos that provides the same content, just a different delivery mechanism, as opposed to a large PDF that you have to scroll through that feels overwhelming? Maybe like a playlist on YouTube or something that delivers it more, you know, appropriately for some families, and that might help them, you know, receive it the same way you describe something while you're talking versus someone reading the same content might be more impactful or easier for someone to get. I think of it maybe more being for the parent side, because a school or school district is maybe geared more towards they want to read it, they want to see it in writing, they want to refer to it in a large document. I can't help but think, is it worth even just brainstorming as an option or is there a reason why that's not happening? That's the only thing that came up both in what Lori was saying and what you were saying for that document. So
Yeah, we had brainstormed about that, and that was on our list for family engagement, but it just, I think the capacity of being able to produce the videos was what stopped us. But yeah, we had been talking about that, hadn't we, Letitia, with some different videos in different areas. It's just, I think the funding to produce them had kind of been a roadblock. Do you have anything to add to that, Letitia?
I think essentially with because it's funny, everyone that has their video on, when she said that the ideas are always there that we should do it, but the execution of getting the video done generally doesn't quite follow through. Avery looks like she's like, we do that. So, but literally that is one of those things. Yes, we should be doing that. Yes. Are we doing it, and are we doing it well? No. But yes, it should be a conversation. It should be something that, once that document is created, then you can take that and make it into usable, livable, easier to describe videos. And then, like you said, have it as a playlist. Absolutely. That would 110% be on my wish list. Yeah.
Well, and even for someone who's just a tactical thinker, I would be curious as to when this LMS thing becomes implemented and when it becomes more central to housing resources. That's sort of the right sort kind of platform to load those things into and deliver them to. I would just be curious to see, as that LMS thing evolves, does this become more of a, well, we need to act on that instead of just bantering about it. I don't know. I'll stop there, but I think you understand where I was going with that. So
yes, I 100% agree with you. So the LMS system is ran and operated by Alabama. So that would be something that, because it is a 6-state project. So when we did, if that is something that we sent to them and said, we would really like this document broken down into that, we feel like that makes the most sense. I can see their hesitation because each of the 6 states have different rules. I mean, some of the stuff is going to be basic stuff that would apply and could apply to everyone. But ultimately, I think that if we developed this brochure, this document, this handbook, it would need to be an Oklahoma focused project that would take it to the next level. And we don't have a learning management system, but we do have a YouTube channel. So.
Well, and Letitia, I was just going to say, in this day of technology, like we just did 2 days of, with the CBHN partners, a retreat, and we recorded every one of those sessions. And one of our staff will go in and edit all of them. And then we upload them. We have a YouTube channel, but you can access them from our website as well. And where I thought Chris's head might be going is for those of us who might have training that has a focus on transition, that we might want to have those included in that overall, especially if it's things like the relational piece, the healthcare transition. It's not as heavy on law-based. When you start transition is dependent on your state. And so you might not want something in there that says, in Oklahoma, you need to start at age whatever, because that might not be the case in another state. But for a lot of pieces of transition, it's generic, for really the whole country. So, I kind of, where my head was going was, what training do I have already recorded that, even if the Parent Center decided to have a section on your website or a special YouTube channel just for transition related training, all of us that are here, and then even part of Lori's group, we could all contribute those trainings that we have. And I know one of the things that we want to do is start doing much shorter pieces. And we've done this where we'll take a training and only clip one part of it so that instead of somebody having to sit down and listen to a 45 or a 30-minute session, it's just 15 minutes on healthcare, on understanding your health insurance card and how to make a doctor's appointment, or something like that. So, I mean, I don't know if that fits in with what you're trying to do, but I do think it makes good sense, excuse me. And it may even be something that the Transition Council would want to partner, with this group to try to amass that type of thing.
I was going to just add to that. I mean, Joni, I think we use what we have. And I mean, Letitia, I don't know how this works, but everyone here has an expertise, I mean, if we had, IPSI could do the post-secondary education, I mean, Joni, your group has so much, Sooner Success has so much, and on and on. Ramona, I saw what you said, Ramona had me do a video that they send out to their parents. And I mean, it's just, I think that it may not be like, oh, it's an animated, everything's animated and it's just perfect. But you know what? I mean, I think strength in numbers, that everyone's got an expertise. And maybe if there were just a little bit of criteria that maybe everything had to be 5 minutes or under, or 15 minutes under, or whatever, and we could, chop up those topics and just make sure they're all covered. And I don't think that'd be that big of a hill to climb. I mean, I think that's a great idea, because just speaking from myself as well as my son and so many others, people are not, written learner cases. So I love that.
And that is something that I have to, we just talked about this within our parent center. I am a written learner, 100%. So when I want to teach other people, I want to teach them the way that I learn best. And I have to get outside of myself to understand that I am the few and far between. I'm like, give me a step-by-step process and I will do. I can write some step-by-steps. Can anyone else in the parent center know how to do it? Absolutely not. But I can over and over and over again. I looked just really quickly. I looked the number one of the 3 steps that Alabama had, or their 3-part series. 1 is for schools, 2 is for parents, 3 is for students. And it is helping students lead the transition process. But again, and I like the thought of that, but I kind of feel like if a parent doesn't understand you got to start with a parent handbook, because if a parent doesn't understand, they're not gonna facilitate their child understanding. Parents are scared of what they don't know. So, or I am for sure. My kid wants to go to college out of state and I'm terrified. I can't imagine, I don't want her to move to another town, much less another state. But this, the issue that I would see immediately for this, and that may be why they didn't give us a copy. I love Alabama. I can give them a really hard time, but it's a 25-page document. So, and it's a full-blown handbook, but it is a 25-page document. And so I can't imagine handing my kid a 25-page document and saying, here,
Letitia,
take over your transition.
Did they do any videos at all? Because I love that idea. And we could do those too, like Julie Lackey. I mean, here I am, and I hate doing them. Let me tell you, Letitia has to give me a deadline and say, you're going to do it or else, because I hate it. But I'm telling you, we could do this and simplify these things where don't talk law. But, I talked to a parent yesterday whose child is fixing to projected to graduate. Fixing's an Oklahoma word, but projected to graduate in May, and she's terrified. And she's like grasping at all these straws, but not reaching out for any of them. Okay. And so that's part of the hump of us as parents. We as agencies have to help these families get over that hump, because this mama is terrified to let her child be alone, and she thinks she's going to live forever. I mean, that's where we're at with some of these families. And I was there, trust me, I know, and so, and I guess I'm panicking because of where I'm at currently in my life, because, we just lost Billy's daddy. And it's frightening to be a single parent of a child with disabilities with you don't have that, what did you call it, Joni? That little circle, you don't have it. And so it's terrifying. And being there, I want to help other families out of this hole too, because I know I'm not alone. So, and we can do this. So
and Ellen,
anyway, I
would
love all the
say-
ideas.
I would say the family story.
That is exactly a
go.
video that needs to be done.
Yeah, a family story with each one of those, each one of the topics would be so important, because if they hear a parent say, I was scared to death, but we just trudged through, and here's the resources that helped us, and here's where we are today. And even if you don't give them a truckload of information, but at the end you say, if you would like more information, here's the resources that were helpful to me. That could be a 5-minute video pretty easily. And I think even the young adults might watch 5-minute videos. Now, you may have to put them on TikTok instead of YouTube to get them to watch it. But
So that's a good
that's okay.
segue to what I was thinking, because as everybody was talking from the beginning, when Ellen talked about her son and listening to the parent pieces, and then coming to that idea of developing some kind of YouTube channel, I think separating things out for the different audiences somehow, if that's possible, would be good, because if a parent engages and they get on there and what they see is something that is more geared to schools, they're going to say, this isn't for me. Or your young person with a disability, you want them to see a specific thing, but they get into the one that's for the parents and they're going to say, that's not for me. So some kind of idea of how that could be organized for the different audiences, I think would be very valuable. And it may be that you use some of them in all 3 places, but just kind of separating them out, I think would be a good thought.
Yeah,
I think that I'm Amy with the Oklahoma Parent Center. We have 2 great trainings, and we need to probably start using those trainings again in a consistent manner like we were in the spring. But, stepping into your independence was one of our self-advocacy trainings that we produced and created and offered. And then, of course, the differences between an IEP and a 504, that can be very powerful for parents and for self-advocates themselves. So you're right, we don't necessarily have to reinvent the wheel. We do have quite a bit of material as it is. And I love the idea of chunking things into small portions, and so it's not so overwhelming. But I think it'd be more meaningful if it was just a small personal story. I love the idea.
Mm-hmm. A couple of the things that I wrote down that I wrote down a lot, but the last couple of things that I wrote down was, I love the thought of a special section on transition that is just an Oklahoma based, again, kind of very, very similar to what we put on our website, but that would be video based. So it's not just everybody send me your documents. Again, we know that documents aren't the best way that we learn. We all know this. For some of us it is, but for most of us it's not. So we already have that piece. So that I would go back to the committee and say, hey, what videos do you have that you would be, again, it would be a storage for all of them. So we're not having to go here and there and this website and that website. It would be a storage place for any videos that are over transition. I also put something that Julie said that struck, and I'm not writing it though. I didn't say it the way that she said it. I'm not near as clever with words, but what I wrote down was, email each member, can you do a video for this project? Because you are right. Each one of us are experts in our own way, in our own field. in our own, we're all in the same field to some extent, but each one of us bring our own level of expertise or our own level of life experience. Maybe that's the way that I want to say that. It's not necessarily your job description all the time, because your life experience generally is more leads your passion and why you do what you do more than your job title. So that we could get a video from people, again, have some basic things like you said. You know, I love that idea as well, Yolanda, that we have kids, students do their own video too, that so that we bring multiple perspectives and that we say, you know, this is the audience. That is something that I 100% agree upon, because sometimes I do click on a video and within about, it used to be 3 minutes. I'm probably about a minute and a half person at this point. If I am not engaged or I 100% know this isn't for me, and it's about a minute and a half, that's about all I'm going to give somebody. And it may not even be that much. I think we're all so busy in this world that we immediately know this is for me or this isn't for me. So that's probably why I do like TikTok. I like to watch TikTok. I don't want to record myself on TikTok, but I think we have some really, really great, yes, people listen to videos while they're driving as well. I am not one of those people. Usually if I'm in my car, I have my kids and there's no way that they're going to let me control a radio.
But Letitia, I think it would be good to think about also videoing students like your daughter who doesn't have a disability, but still is facing all of these same challenges and fears and all of these things. So, because, you know, we're more alike than we are different.
Yes.
Even though my mother-in-law, who's 93, says, wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same? So we're not the same in that aspect, but we all want the same things. You know, we all want happiness and security and blah, blah, blah. So, regardless of our abilities.
I can assure you that I have probably used more information that I learned working at the Parent Center with my daughter than I ever used, because there is nothing for children without disabilities. There is very, very little. There's no handbooks. There is nothing that says you should probably start talking to your kid about how they can do their own laundry way early. I mean, again, my 12-year, I do no one's laundry in my house. This is a shocker to most people who don't know me. I don't do laundry. My kids all do their own laundry. The first time that my boss heard that, she said, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "I don't." And she's like, "Your kid's little." And I was like, "She's been doing her own laundry since 3rd grade. We have a step stool to the washing machine. I mean, if you can dirty your own laundry and you can find it, then I can show you. I can assure you, if you can use that PlayStation, you can push the 3 buttons that are on the washing machine that say normal and start. I can assure you, you can do it. Yeah, if you can work a phone, if you can work an iPad, you can 100% work the washing machine. So that is I took that stance a long time ago. She used to use her, my baby is 12. She's not a baby anymore. And I do not like this. She used to ride her tricycle through the house. Yes, I was a parent who let a tricycle in the house. She would ride her tricycle in the house and because that's how she wanted to pick up her own laundry. I don't care. As long as you got your laundry where it needed to go, from wherever you took it off to where it gets washed at when she was that small, I didn't care. She had a little basket on the front of her tricycle. And she'd just wheel around the whole house on this little tricycle. To me, that's one of those things. As a parent, if you want it done, you have to let them do it the way that they're going to do it. As long as the end result is the same that it got done, absolutely. So that's that's again how we all learn at our own pace. She realized at some point that is the slowest way that you could ever pick up your laundry, and she quit doing it that way on her own. But again, each person learns in their own way. Okay, the next meeting I have is March 1st, if we can believe 2023, is March 1st. Are we all still comfortable with 9 a.m.? Yeah. Okay. I will send out the Zoom registration. Again, those are always all on our website as well for the whole year. I will go ahead and send those out for everyone again, so you can get registered in advance. I will try to, these meetings sneak up on me. I don't know why. They're on my calendar for the whole year, but for some reason, it's like the week of, I'm like, what is that? And then I'm like, oh gosh, that's the one I do. So I apologize if I don't send reminders out, because generally it's like the day before I'm like, oh wait, that's they send me, I have other meetings for this project from them that I don't necessarily have to remind anybody about or prepare for. So it tends to, they have the same name in my calendar when they add them. So I tend to get myself confused. People who know me very well know that I tend to confuse myself more than other people confuse me. So I appreciate each one of you. If anyone else has anything, I am more than happy to. Okay, April, FYI, save the date is out there for the first inclusive post-secondary education summit in Oklahoma, April 14th. Mark it out. Mark it out. Don't mark it out. Mark it down. Mark it down. Spread the word. If you have a flyer or anything, a save the date, anything along those lines, send it to me and we can get it out there on ours as well. So if no one has anything else, then I think we're good for the day. We have some good things written down and kind of a moving forward and how we can, again, I don't want to just have a committee because we need to have a committee. I mean, what can we do? I learned a lot when we went to Alabama. I learned a lot that yes, we're part of their bigger project, but we're our own project as well. So we can move forward on things and not within ourselves. Obviously we can, but I didn't want to go outside of what I felt like the project was asking me to do. But I was given a whole lot of leeway that I didn't realize that I had until recently. So I definitely want to make sure that I want to make a difference. I think that's what everybody wants to do. We want to make a difference. We don't want to have 5 years worth of these meetings and absolutely no result. That would be literally so pointless to me, and I don't want to do that. So Joining Forces Conference is Friday, March 31st, Francis Tuttle Tech Center, Reno campus. Sorry, I was going to say El Reno, and I knew that was not right. I was reading more than there was there. So thank you, everyone. Again, if you have any information sharing that you would like for us, any upcoming events that you would like for us to put as a parent center on our calendar and to let parents know, please send those to me. I send out flyers all the time for everybody. So we'll put them on our Facebook page, and we can also put them on our calendar that goes on our website that parents look at. So again, we're all in this together. So if anyone needs anything, you know how to reach me. Thank you so much for coming today.